COVID-19's surprising impact on brain aging. The pandemic has left an indelible mark on our lives in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. One of the most startling revelations, it may have prematurely aged our brains. Whether you contracted COVID-19 or not, living through this global crisis appears to have taken a toll on our cognitive health. A finding that raises important questions about how stress and societal upheaval impact us on a neurological level. In a study published in Nature Communications on July 22nd, researchers uncovered evidence suggesting that the pandemic accelerated brain aging by approximately 5.5 months. This research compared brain scans from around 1,000 individuals during the pandemic with scans taken before it began, using pre-pandemic data as a baseline for normal brain aging patterns. Surprisingly, the effects weren't limited to those who had been infected with the virus. Even people who avoided contracting COVID-19 showed signs of faster than expected brain aging. Led by Alireza Mohammadi-Nejad from the University of Nottingham School of Medicine in the UK, the team examined several key indicators of brain health, including grey matter volume, white matter integrity, cognitive abilities, and chronological age. Grey matter plays a crucial role in memory, emotions, and movement, while white matter acts as the communication highway, enabling nerves to send electrical signals efficiently. The results revealed measurable declines in these areas across both groups, those who tested positive for the virus and those who remained uninfected. This discovery was both intriguing and unexpected, says Mohammadi-Nejad. While earlier studies have demonstrated that the virus itself can negatively alter brain structure, this new research underscores the profound influence of external factors like chronic stress, social isolation, disrupted routines, and reduced physical activity. These elements likely compounded the mental strain experienced during lockdowns and other pandemic-related challenges. Living through such a period of uncertainty and upheaval seems to leave its imprint on the brain, regardless of whether someone contracted the virus, he explains. But here's where it gets controversial. Who bore the brunt of this accelerated aging? Certain populations appeared more vulnerable than others. Men, older adults, and individuals facing socioeconomic hardships, such as unstable housing, lower income, or limited education, showed the greatest increases in brain aging. For instance, those with precarious employment situations exhibited an additional 5 months of brain aging compared to their more secure counterparts. Similarly, poorer overall health added roughly 4 months of accelerated aging compared to healthier individuals. However, one distinction stood out. Only those who were actually infected with COVID-19 experienced noticeable declines in cognitive skills, such as problem solving or memory recall. And this is the part most people miss. The fact that non-infected individuals also showed signs of advanced brain aging highlights the importance of addressing broader public health concerns beyond just medical metrics. Our brains don't exist in isolation. They're deeply intertwined with our daily experiences, says Mohammadi-Nejad. Major societal disruptions, like what we endured during the pandemic, can affect even seemingly resilient individuals. This insight emphasizes the need to prioritize mental, emotional, and social well-being alongside traditional measures of physical health when planning responses to future crises. While the study didn't delve into specific interventions to counteract brain aging, Mohammadi-Nejad points to well-established strategies for maintaining brain health. A nutritious diet rich in antioxidants, regular physical exercise, consistent quality sleep, and meaningful social and intellectual engagement are all vital components. But do these practices hold the potential to reverse the changes observed during the pandemic? That remains an open question, one ripe for further investigation. So, what does this mean for us moving forward? Should we accept that living through unprecedented times inevitably alters our brains? Or should we push back against this trend with proactive lifestyle choices? Could there be alternative interpretations of these findings? For example, might some of the observed changes reflect adaptive responses rather than purely negative outcomes? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with the conclusions drawn by the researchers? Or do you think there's another angle worth exploring? Share your perspective in the comments below. How the COVID-19 pandemic aged our brains by 5.5 months. Brain Health Explained. Imagine waking up one morning to discover that the COVID-19 pandemic has literally aged your brain by several months. This shocking revelation is based on a recent study that suggests the pandemic has had a profound impact on our cognitive abilities. As we delve into the findings, you'll be surprised to learn that the effects of the pandemic on our brains are more complex and far-reaching than you might have thought. But here's where it gets interesting. The study's results are not just about the virus itself, but about the broader societal and psychological factors that have contributed to this accelerated brain aging. So, let's dive in and explore the fascinating story behind this research. The study, published in Nature Communications, used a novel approach to measure brain age by analyzing MRI scans of over 15,000 healthy individuals. The researchers trained a machine learning model to predict age based on brain images, which proved to be remarkably accurate. They then identified a subgroup of participants who had undergone multiple brain scans, with a pandemic occurring between the two scans. By comparing the brain aging of this group to a control group, the researchers found that the pandemic had resulted in an average increase in brain age of 5.5 months. But what does this mean exactly? To put it simply, brain age refers to the difference between your chronological age and your brain's biological age. Think of it like a carnival game, where the barker tries to guess your age based on your appearance. In this case, the researchers used brain scans to estimate brain age, which can be influenced by various factors, including lifestyle, environment, and disease. Now, you might be wondering how the pandemic could have caused such a significant increase in brain age. The answer lies not just in the virus itself, but in the broader context of social isolation, stress, and lack of cognitive stimulation that many people experienced during this period. The study found that the brains of older individuals, men, and those with lower socioeconomic status and education levels were more susceptible to accelerated aging. But here's the surprising part. The increase in brain age was similar among those who had been infected with COVID-19 and those who had not. This suggests that the pandemic's effects on brain aging may be more related to the societal and psychological factors mentioned earlier, rather than the virus itself. So, what are the implications of this study? While the findings might seem alarming, it's essential to note that the relationship between brain age and cognitive function is not straightforward. The study found no compelling evidence that older-looking brains on brain scans function worse, although there was a hint of a relationship among those infected with COVID-19. As we move forward, the big question is, can our brains recover from this accelerated aging? Will we be able to reverse the effects of the pandemic on our cognitive abilities? The answer remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. This study highlights the importance of addressing the societal and psychological factors that contribute to brain aging. As we rebuild and recover from the pandemic, it's crucial that we prioritize our brain health and take steps to mitigate the effects of stress, isolation, and lack of cognitive stimulation. And this is the part most people miss. The pandemic has taught us that our brain health is intimately connected to our overall well-being and that it's never too late to make a positive impact. But here's where it gets controversial. Some might argue that the study's findings are exaggerated or that the methodology is flawed. Others might point out that the effects of the pandemic on brain aging are likely to be long-term and irreversible. So, we ask you, what do you think? Do you believe that the pandemic has had a lasting impact on our brain health? And if so, what can we do to mitigate its effects? Share your thoughts and join the conversation. COVID pandemic aged brains faster. New study reveals hidden effects. Imagine this. The global pandemic not only affected our physical health, but also had a profound impact on our brain health. But here's where it gets controversial. A recent study suggests that the pandemic accelerated brain aging by an average of 5.5 months, even in individuals who never contracted COVID-19. This groundbreaking research, published in Nature Communications, analysed brain scans from over 500,000 people in the UK Biobank database, providing insight into how the pandemic years of 2021 and 2022 may have influenced cognitive decline. The findings reveal that during the pandemic, people's brains exhibited signs of aging, including shrinkage of grey matter, a process typically associated with normal aging but occurring prematurely in this case. Notably, those who tested positive for COVID-19 also showed diminished cognitive functions, particularly in processing speed and mental adaptability. Interestingly, the study's lead author, Alireza Mohammadi-Nejad from the University of Nottingham noted that the aging effects were more pronounced in males and individuals from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds. This underscores the idea that brain health is influenced not just by illness, but also by a broader range of life experiences. Mohammadi-Nejad explained that the research team observed a 5.5-month acceleration in brain aging linked to the pandemic. While the gender difference was relatively small, averaging around 2.5 months. This still raises questions about why men might be more susceptible to certain types of stress or health challenges. Brain shrinkage is a natural part of the aging process, often leading to memory loss and impaired judgment. Premature shrinkage of grey matter, however, can exacerbate these issues, though the study does not conclusively link these structural changes to long-term cognitive deficits. The study did not aim to identify specific causes, but rather to observe correlations. Mohammadi-Nejad suggested that the cumulative effects of the pandemic, such as increased psychological stress, social isolation, disrupted routines, reduced physical activity, and diminished overall well-being, may have played significant roles in accelerating brain aging. Earlier research supports this notion. A 2024 study from the University of Washington found that teenage boys' brains aged prematurely by about 1.4 years, while girls' brains aged by 4.2 years during the pandemic, highlighting the varied impact across different demographics. To conduct their analysis, Mohammadi-Nejad and his colleagues utilized the extensive data from the UK Biobank, which has been tracking health information from 500,000 volunteers since 2006. By comparing pre-pandemic brain scans with those taken during the pandemic, they were able to establish a baseline for normal brain aging and identify deviations caused by the pandemic. Jacqueline Becker, a clinical neuropsychologist and assistant professor at Mount Sinai, highlighted the study's intriguing finding that only those who contracted COVID-19 showed cognitive deficits despite experiencing structural brain changes. This observation hints at the potential role of the virus itself in causing long-term neurological effects, such as long COVID and chronic fatigue syndrome. However, the study leaves some questions unanswered. As Becker pointed out, it remains unclear whether structural brain changes in uninfected individuals will translate into noticeable functional impairments. Adam Brickman, and professor of neuropsychology at Columbia University, viewed the study as a compelling hypothesis, but emphasized the need for further research to determine if the accelerated brain aging observed in uninfected individuals is a temporary phenomenon or a lasting effect. If the pandemic did indeed alter brain health in meaningful ways, there may be strategies to mitigate these changes. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle, including regular exercise, managing blood pressure, ensuring adequate sleep, and fostering social connections could be beneficial in preserving brain function. In conclusion, while the pandemic's impact on brain health is still being explored, this study provides valuable insights into the complex interplay between external events and cognitive well-being. As we continue to navigate the aftermath of the pandemic, understanding these effects can guide us in making informed decisions to support our brain health.